Hi everyone, Comic Book Pixie here, and I'm going to do a review today that's kind of late. I'm going to do my review on X-Men Days of Future Past. And coming from a really big fan of the comic book, this movie rocked. Oh my god, I loved the crap out of this movie. I absolutely adored every single minute of this movie. I was like, my heart was beating like almost every minute of this. But this, first off, I want to just say this week's gonna be a bit different, because I'm 1 week behind. I was gonna do this review last week, but I had a college visit, and you know, life gets in the way. So this week was going to be my parody of a song from Frozen, which I'm going to do to fit the Game of Thrones, and I'll explain more next week. But I just saw Maleficent, and I know that's not a comic book movie, but I loved it. I thought it was so good, and I feel like I need to talk to it, otherwise I'm going to explode. Like, that's all there is to it. So, yeah, so stay tuned for this week. I'm probably going to do the Maleficent review, Tuesday or Wednesday. And, yeah, so without further ado, here's my thoughts on the X-Men movie. Alright. First off, I have my little notepad right here. So if I look down, that's what I'm looking at. I read the comics. I read 3 of this arc in the comic books. I read 3 of the comic books that were with this arc in the comic books. Yeah, sure, whatever. And I read them when I was in middle school, which was like 8 years ago. I'm a lot older than I look. Well, not a lot older than I look. I'm 20 years old, so yeah, a lot of people think I'm like 15 and are actually shocked when they find out that I'm like not 16 years old or like 15. But yeah, I read them in middle school and I had to look up a few like minor details to what I forgot, which I was shocked that I actually remembered most of it. So first off, I'm going to talk about the movie, then I'm going to talk about the comic book and some of the changes that they made. One major one that I had a tiff with, and yeah. But first off, I just want to state that I knew originally going in that, oh, by the way, spoilers for all of you that haven't seen the movie, I'm going to be giving a lot of those today. I knew, so if you clock out, if you watch this review, blame yourselves. If you get any spoilers, leave now. Are you gone? Oh, you're not gone. Okay. So, I love the crap out of the Iceman or Bobby. He's probably my favorite guy because I loved him in the books, comic books. I loved him in the TV series, and I loved him in the movies. I knew he was gonna die because I know that a lot of the X-Men die in this, and I knew he was gonna die, and I went there with all of my guy friends, okay, to just keep that in mind, because I'm in a cosplay group of the Avengers with my guy friends, and we went with a couple other people, like 2 other girls and whatever, but I'm sitting next to 2 of my guy friends. And I was like bracing myself, thinking, hey, you know he's gonna die, Carly. You know he's gonna die by one of the Centennials. And then he dies, and my guy friends just hear me go, my baby. And like my friend Ian, who's sitting next to me, who plays Steve Rogers in the cosplay group, just patted me on the shoulder and was like, there. And I was like, okay, it's okay. Yeah, and then, like, everybody dies and whatever, but we'll get to how they come back and stuff, I guess, if we do get to that in this review, later. I just want to also point out that the cast is always so awesome because they just have so many famous people like Jennifer Lawrence, Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian McKellen, Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, Ellen Page, all of the famous people you can think of. And I think that the guy who plays Magneto's name is Lawrence Fishburne. He's a really good actor. He's gonna be in the Assassin's Creed movie that is like in production right now with my favorite character, Damien. I'm really excited. But yeah, and now they've added fucking Peter Dinklage to the list, and he's one of my favorite actors because for those of you that subscribe to me and see my likes, know that I love the crap out of Game of Thrones. I've read all the books, and I've seen all of the episodes except for this last week because I just have no time to watch it. But I just cannot. I always say I need my like daily dose of Dinklage is what I tell all my friends. So I usually just watch like a clip of him a day and it keeps me sane. But he managed to take one of the characters I despise, who's who's Dr. Bulvic Trask, or Bulver Trask, and make him like likable. Not like he was a likable character, but just that it's Peter Dinklage and he's already so charismatic that, sorry, I have a bug bite, so if I like scratch my neck a lot, that's the reason. He took him and he's just like, no matter what he says, it's just like, you're just so darn like charismatic that I just can't be mad at you. And I loved that. The Centennials, and this is like where we're getting kind of into the comic books a little early, were perfect. Like, their design was of course a little different, but the way that they acted and everything was spot on. Like, I loved the crap out of that. And I loved the ending message, which was, your future's what you make it, no one can decide for you. If you choose to do an action that could affect it negatively, or if you choose to do an action that could affect it positively, it's your choice. And I really, really liked that. Also, oh my god, my heart kind of got pulled on a bit when Hugh Jackman, or Wolverine, kind of sliced Kitty in the stomach, and he realized what he did, and they were like, well, what happened? What did you do? And he was like, something I'm gonna be very sad about later. And I was like, oh, honey, it's okay, she's gonna be fine. If you don't screw this up, none of this would have happened in the future anyway. But yeah, that was really good. And Jean, at the ending, that twist, and I know that she's the Phoenix, I know that she really can't die, but that didn't seem like the direction that they were going with in the, in the movies. But then, no, there she is, at the ending, and she's like, hi, Logan, and I'm like, oh, does this mean that they're gonna, bring her back in the movies? Oh god, I hope so, because I love the crap out of that character. And also the clothes for the 70s. Now, my mom was a seamstress, so I'm always, very critical of, the wardrobe. But the clothes in this were so good. Oh my god, I was kind of geeking out because I love 70s style and everything. But I was, geeking out, and I was like, oh my god, the clothes are so perfect. Yeah, but now we're gonna get into the comic books. And I'm not gonna talk a lot about the comics. I'm just gonna talk about the one issue I had, which was going back to Dr. Trask and his backstory. Now, they didn't explain the backstory in the comics. I'm sorry, in the movies. They didn't explain it in the movies, and that kind of made me upset because his backstory, I think, is, pivotal to his character. Because his two children were mutants, and he gave them medallions, which I dug and dug because I remembered that they explained it to some extent in the comic books, but I couldn't find it, and I couldn't remember where he got them from. But they were supposed to suppress their mutant gene and make them be somewhat normal, but he hated mutants because his last child killed the mom when she was in labor. And he thought, like, oh, well, they're evil, blah, 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 blah. Which is totally irrational, but it's a comic book. And one thing that made me upset, that they didn't, like, explain it at all. That he was just kind of, like, a very shallow villain. Which was my one tip I had. Also, I didn't like how, and I know that obviously it's Magneto, when is he ever truly a good guy, how he kept, like, bouncing back between do you trust or do you distrust? I was like, I thought this is what happened in the first one. Why are we reverting back? To it. Oh, one thing I totally forgot, and I want to say before I'm out of time, was that the one scene with Quicksilver, for those of you that seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. There's this one scene that was hilarious, where he's basically just running through and basically moving the bullets away from Wolverine, Professor X, and Magneto, when they're busting Magneto out of jail. And just the music he's playing, his, like, expressions, his total just, like, lack of just, like, I don't give a crap, was hilarious. And this was, like, the first time this ever happened. People actually clapped after this scene, and I thought it was so funny. But yeah, back to the comic books. He also, in the comic books, has an art where they capture Beast, and he makes the Centennials basically read his mind and find out that, oh, mutants aren't so bad. And he sacrifices himself to save the day. I understand why they couldn't do that in the comics, but it kind of made me upset. And I wish, going with the Quicksilver character, that Scarlet Witch was in it. Now, I understand that she couldn't have had that much to do with the plot in this, but they are twins in it, and that kind of made me upset that she wasn't in it as well. I know that they're probably holding her for the Age of Ultron, which is the new Avengers movie coming out, but I wish that they kind of mentioned her even a little bit. Anywho, that's my thoughts on the movie, and I give this probably a 9.5, because that one thing with the whole villain kind of pissed me off a bit, just because I thought that Peter Dinklage could have done so much with that, but it is what it is. Instead they just kind of had him embezzling money from the government, which was kind of made me giggle, but because I love politics. Well, I don't like politics, I think is why it made me giggle, because I think that they're, like, I don't know, I've never gotten into them, but just the fact that they had, like, this, like, big villain embezzling money from the government, kind of made me laugh, because it's like, that's, like, such, like, just a realistic thing to do. Like, it was nothing like he got in trouble for building, like, I don't know, this is how my brain works, a death ray or something. Nope, he just embezzled money. And yeah, I really hope that in the next one they have, Scarlet Witch. But yeah, if you like this video, subscribe. If you didn't, subscribe anyway, because it's X-Men and you just should. And I will see you probably tomorrow or Wednesday for Maleficent. So yeah, love you guys. Bye.